So originally I started this channel to talk about my love of books, but as I've been doing this, I've realized that in some ways it's really to talk about my love of storytelling, which is totally different from books, or rather is not only limited to books. So today we're gonna talk about a sci-fi TV show instead. It's the same thing, trust me. Hello, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you found this video randomly. My name is Andrew Givler. I am a YouTuber and author, and here we talk about stories. If that's something you'd be interested in, hit the like button, okay? So that YouTube knows that you like this kind of stuff. And hit the subscribe button, help us get this channel partnered. Kick it with us, and let's talk about some really, really good sci-fi. Now, number one. I'm very passionate about sci-fi, as those of you who have listened to me talk about sci-fi books might know, but I'm also very picky about sci-fi. In some ways, I think I'm actually more picky about sci-fi than I am about fantasy. And what I mean by that is usually the technology takes me out faster than a wonky magic system, right? I cannot like the magic system and still like a fantasy world. If I don't like the sci-fi like technology, which is just magic but in a different form essentially, then I will not like the sci-fi universe. Let me give you an example of this that we can fight about immediately, and I will honestly fight anyone about this. I don't like Firefly. And a huge reason that I don't like Firefly is because the technology feels incredibly inconsistent to me. Here's an example. Every time they go visit another planet or anything like a settlement and they're doing like the Wild West field, everyone has Winchesters and 6-shooters. And that doesn't make any sense to me, because even if Firefly were to happen, right, because it is purportedly set in our world, in our universe rather, we would not regress when we are creating new colonies, right? It makes sense that new colonies wouldn't be as technologically advanced. They couldn't bring everything with them. They would be kind of out on the frontier, such as it were. We wouldn't even make those guns anymore. Where are they getting those guns? You know what I mean? Making like a Glock is not that hard, technically. You know, in terms of like technology, 3D printers would go with them, that kind of thing. It feels like forced just to be stylistic. It drives me up a freaking wall, man. Because every time I see somebody pull out a 6-shooter while standing on a spaceship, it hurts. It hurts me. All I can think about is who made a 6-shooter? Like, why did they reinvent making a 6-shooter? You know what I mean? And it's not that I have a problem. I mean, obviously we still use 6-shooter like guns, but they're like literally the Wild West versions, right? They're Colts. The cylindery, 6-shootery technology has advanced a little bit since the 1800s, 1700s. I don't even know when the Wild West was happening. 1800s. Yeah, I was right the first time. I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's just an example, okay? We can fight about Firefly. If you guys want me to make a Firefly video, I'll make a Firefly video because I have a lot to say and I'm not afraid. But so sci-fi is something that I'm very, very picky about. So I've recently discovered a sci-fi show that's coming out that is done by Amazon. And Amazon gets a lot of flack for not doing everything how people would want them, right? They've done a bunch of fantasy content lately and everybody has strong opinions, right? Wheel of Time, very polarizing. Lord of the Rings, extremely polarizing. But actually, I think it's really interesting to note that I think that Amazon has been doing a great job with sci-fi. Now, I am currently finishing the last season of The Expanse, so it's possible I could be wrong, but I will say for the 2 seasons of The Expanse that they took over that I watched, I thought Amazon did a great job with it. Now, of course, there was a storyline already in place. They were sort of continuing the tone. Actually, fun fact, do you know why Amazon decided to buy Sci-Fi's The Expanse when Sci-Fi canceled it? It's Jeff Bezos' favorite show. He wanted them to finish it, which, I'm not gonna lie, that is the best perk of being a billionaire I've ever heard in my life. I've got some TV shows I would like to buy. Thank you very much. We're not going to talk about the fantasy stuff right now because I have a lot to say and that would be a whole nother video. But I want to say that their track record with sci-fi has been pretty good for me so far, because so far I like The Expanse. I need to finish it, but I've been really happy with how they've continued it. And this new show that I've discovered is called The Peripherals, and it's really good. Now, I will say, part of the reason that I watched the show is, one, I really like the lead actress, Chloe. I can never remember her last name. Chloe Grace Moretz, who has been in things like Kick-Ass and a bunch of other stuff. She's a fantastic actress. I really like her. Number 2 is Jonathan Nolan is executive producing this. And I haven't talked about movies that much on this channel, but Jonathan Nolan's probably one of my favorite movie writers of all time, especially when he's paired with his brother, right? I love Christopher Nolan movies, but I think that the best Christopher Nolan movies are the movies he did with his brother. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, The Prestige, Inception, Memento, right? I could go on, but you get the idea. Jonathan has been working on Westworld. I have a lot of thoughts about Westworld. I think the first season of Westworld's incredible. I think a lot of things about Westworld are incredible. I also feel like we kind of lost it and then we found it and we lost it and we found it. And I'm not entirely sure how I feel about Westworld. It's not a slam dunk for me, okay? That's what I'm willing to say. I've enjoyed it. I've watched all of it. I would watch more of it. But it wasn't like sci-fi I'm telling everybody they have to watch. Sci-fi that if you say I'm watching Westworld, I'll be like, oh, I watched Westworld. What do you think? Let's talk about it. It's interesting. It's a conversation point for me. I'm going to give you guys the premise for The Peripheral, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to do major spoilers because I want you guys to go watch this. If you haven't, I think it's really, really freaking good, okay? The premise is it's set slightly in the future, I think like 40, 50 years from now, and it's about this brother and sister who they're often hired to test really advanced VR headsets, like for video games. Now, the brother sort of gets the deals because he's ex-military, and people want like people with military training to test them to make sure they're good. But his sister's like the gamer, so he has her play. They make money. They get sent a new headset, state of the art. It turns out that this headset isn't in a game. Instead, it's plugging them into robots and they are piloting them for real. And that's a good enough thing. And they're involved in some stuff where people are trying to kill them. There's nefarious things going on. They're trying to solve a mystery as the robots, mystery is the people. And there's a lot of other pressure going on. The writing is incredible. The acting, phenomenal. Like the main characters are excellent actors, but I want to shout out especially the supporting cast. I think every single actor has absolutely owned a scene that they've been in, which is also a testament to the writing because every character is actually fleshed out and has a moment, and the actors have like just absolutely hit it out of the park every time. I routinely say while watching this, wow, that was such a great like scene. Like, oh man, they nailed that line. It's something I'm really passionate about. I love side characters feeling rich and strong and like they could take over, but they aren't just because of the circumstance. So a lot of the team that did Westworld is actually who's working on The Peripheral, and I love The Peripheral, okay? The first season's completely out. You can watch it. I have not watched the final episode yet, so technically I'm giving this glowing review without having seen that, but I really don't think at this point they could ruin it. We may have to make another video, but I really don't think they could ruin it because honestly, it's just been going up, and even if it ended on a down note or if the last episode didn't satisfy me for the season, one, I believe there's another season, two, everything else has been so great, I would still say you need to watch it. One of the things I really, really like about how they write the characters is the characters are really highly intelligent. This is a big pet peeve of mine. If you've read my books, hopefully you don't ever think my main character's an idiot, because that's something that really, really bothers me. I always want them to make the best decision with the information they have, right? I hate it when a character is clearly doing the wrong thing and they're just doing it because the plot demands it, right? That takes me out of a story faster than 6 shooters in sci-fi, I tell you what. The tech is super cool. The visual effects for presenting the tech are also super well done because that can also ruin it. The way that they're revealing stuff without me giving anything away is really good. It's just an incredibly strong sci-fi show. Written by one of my favorite people. Now, it's a Nolan show, so obviously they're going to be messing with time. That shouldn't be a spoiler if you've ever seen anything that a Nolan brother has touched. That's just what they do. A little bit of light time shenanigans, a little bit of tech, and fantastic acting. I can't recommend this show enough, genuinely. I want more people to see it. I want more people to talk about it. I want more people to make good sci-fi. Because here's the thing, and I think that you can apply this to both sci-fi and fantasy when we're talking about adaptations. We need better ones. I like TV shows more than books because they can handle bigger plots. They can handle book-sized plots. Those are what I want. Movies, generally, with some exceptions, are too small for me. They feel like a short story rather than a novel, right? I don't really like reading short stories. I like novels. I want the whole arc. I want the whole thing. I want to eat an entire ham sandwich, not just a piece of meat on a cracker, okay? That's what I want. Historically, film has really struggled with trying to adapt books. Game of Thrones was probably one of the first times that they really hit it out of the park, and the response from us was so good that they've kept doing it. But we need to keep doing that because there are times when the adaptation doesn't go well. Think of the Dresden Files adaptation. Remember, that was before TV started to take books seriously in this way. If you've read the Dresden Files and you've seen the Dresden Files TV show, you know that they roughly tried to do a book per episode. That was never going to work. That was just purely never going to work. Now, I think the casting of the Dresden Files show was dope. But other than that, same with like my concerns with Wheel of Time is they are trimming some stuff that is really important that is setting them up for not success in the future. We'll see. There were some things I liked, but also it's hard because Robert Jordan gave you several million words to go through. I get it. Same with Lord of the Rings, but also Tolkien gave them several million words. It's tricky to take something that's this big and turn it into something that's this big. I don't even think it's possible to take something this big and turn it into something this big, which is like movie size. The point I'm trying to make here is when somebody does a good job telling the story in our genres in a new medium, we should support it. So I want you guys to go check out Peripheral. If you have seen The Peripheral, I want you to leave some comments below. Tell me what you think. We can talk about it. I've been really enjoying the discussion with you guys in the comments. In the meantime, don't forget to hit the like button if you found this useful, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. We need those subscribers to help keep growing the channel. And I will see you guys in the next one.